Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer on mastering labor productivity measures. I'm so glad you're here. Today, we're going to build a completely exam-ready understanding of operational performance, and we'll be focusing directly on the specific metrics that management uses to really evaluate their workforce. All right, let's dive right into this. We're kicking things off with this fundamental question because, honestly, it's the core of everything we're about to cover. Are your employees actually being productive, or are they just there? Confusing mere physical presence with actual productivity is a hugely costly trap for management out in the real world, and it's a super common pitfall you'll see on exams. Just because someone is clocked in definitely does not mean they're adding value. To unpack all of that, our roadmap for today is pretty straightforward. We'll look at why we monitor labor productivity, how to measure usage and idle time, the labor output ratio, how this all applies in a real scenario, and finally, how to avoid some of the most common measurement mistakes. Okay, section 1, why monitor labor productivity? Let's zoom out for a second and look at the big picture of why businesses even need to track these numbers in the first place. Well, you know the old saying, right? You literally can't manage what you don't measure. Tracking these metrics gives management a solid quantitative baseline. It allows them to spot inefficiencies, bottlenecks, or even motivational issues way before they can severely drain profitability. But here's a massive nuance you've absolutely got to remember for your exams. The method you use relies entirely on the industry you're looking at. I mean, measuring build hours at an engineering firm is going to look totally different than analyzing units coming off a manufacturing assembly line. You always have to match the metric directly to the work environment. Moving on to section 2, measuring usage and idle time. This is where we get into our first two core formulas, which are just absolutely essential for your toolkit. First up is usage. This is simply the percentage of paid hours that your employees are actually, working. In service industries like consulting, we usually look closely at billed hours to figure this out. Essentially, usage isolates that specific chunk of time you're paying for that's genuinely being spent on productive, value-adding stuff. Now, the idle time ratio measures the exact opposite. The formula is literally just your idle hours for the period divided by your total paid hours. This calculates the fraction of total paid time that's yielding zero productive value. But we should probably clarify what we mean when we say idle time. To be crystal clear on your exams, idle time strictly means the worker is present, they're clocked in, and they're totally ready to work, but no productive work is available. So we're not talking about an employee hiding in the break room. It's usually a systemic bottleneck. Imagine staring at a blank screen because a server crashed, or waiting around for a delayed shipment. The work just isn't there for them to do. All right, section 3, the labor output ratio. We know how to measure the time being spent, but what happens if your company doesn't use a standard costing system? How do we measure what's actually being produced? Well, absent a standard costing system, you monitor productivity by calculating a labor output ratio. This is just the units of goods or services produced per hour worked. It tells you exactly how much actual output is being generated for every single hour of labor you utilize. But here's the thing, a single calculation all by itself is rarely enough. Management has to rely on trend analysis over time. You establish a baseline in month 1, monitor operations in month 2, and then by month 3, you can definitively confirm if there's an improvement or identify any emerging issues. Watching that trend is what really turns raw numbers into actionable management decisions. Let's move to section 4, applying metrics in a scenario. Let's step away from the theory for a minute and actually put these concepts to the test. Imagine you're managing an engineering consulting firm. You need to analyze a typical salaried employee's timesheet to gauge their real productivity, and we're looking at a standard 40-hour workweek here. So here is the breakdown. The employee is paid for a full 40-hour week, but they only bill 32 hours to actual client projects. That inherently leaves us with 8 hours of idle time, where they were totally present but no billable work was available. Let's run our formulas on this. First up is usage. We take those 32 billed productive hours and divide them by the 40 total paid hours. Mathematically, that gives us a usage rate of exactly 80%. That 80% represents the genuinely productive chunk of the work week that you're actually paying for. On the flip side, we have our idle time ratio. We take those 8 idle hours and divide them by the same 40 total paid hours. We're left with an idle time ratio of 20%. That is a pretty significant portion of paid time that went completely unused in terms of generating any value. Okay, now let's figure out the labor output ratio. Let's say during those 32 actual working hours, this employee produced 16 finalized service reports. We just take the units produced, which is 16, and divide by the hours worked, which is 32. That gives us a really clean labor output ratio of 0.5, meaning they're turning out half a report for every single hour worked. And finally, Section 5, avoiding common measurement mistakes. Before we wrap up this explainer, we absolutely have to talk about the biggest conceptual trap you're going to face. And it's a huge one. Please do not confuse an employee's physical presence at work with actual productive work. It's such a fatal trap to just glance at a timesheet, see 40 hours logged, and automatically assume that because they were physically in the building, they were actually getting things done. Remember what we said earlier? Idle time means you're literally paying for availability without generating any corresponding output. That idle time still costs the company real money. And that's exactly why keeping your usage ratio completely separate from your idle time ratio is paramount. It forces management to confront the very real difference between what they are paying for and what they're actually getting. So, I'm going to leave you with this final thought to chew on for your own case studies. Are your labor costs driving actual output, or are you just paying for presence? By really mastering your usage, idle time, and output ratios, you'll be able to answer that question with absolute certainty. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and happy studying.